Welcome to Homegrown Wealth, where I share knowledge to help you build wealth through home ownership. In today's episode, we're going to discuss the blueprint for first-time home buyers. Are you ready to buy your first home? I love working with first-time home buyers. I'm going to walk you through step-by-step how to prepare your credit, build your budget, and find the perfect home without overpaying. Perfect for renters looking to make that leap into home ownership. If you're a first-time home buyer, this is new territory, and this is definitely a new learning experience for you. A lot of my clients are first-time home buyers, and I know what questions first-time home buyers have, how you may be feeling about the process. So let me guide you through this purchase the right way. First things first, you need financing. So unless you're paying cash for a home, you're going to meet with a lender and you're going to do an application. And not necessarily maybe meet with them in person, but you will do an application via internet, an app, online to get a mortgage. If you do not have a lender that you already want to work with, I definitely have several great referral partners that I can refer you to that can help you get started with that process. When you meet with the lender and you do the application, you're going to get a document that is called a pre-approval. The pre-approval is where the lender has looked over your credit, they have looked over your income, they have looked over your bank statements, they have looked over pretty much all the information that you have submitted, and they can say that you are pre-approved to purchase a home. Now, a pre-approval and a pre-qualification are a little different. So a pre-qualification is where you can do an application, you can put in your information, but without submitting any supporting documents such as bank statements, pay stubs, anything of that nature. It's just pretty much right now on hearsay from the lender pulling your credit that they're able to issue a pre-qualification. Now, what has more standing ground when it comes to making an offer is a pre-approval. So you always want to strive for the pre-approval. Let's say if you do your application and you don't qualify right away. Maybe there was some credit challenges. Typically, right now, depending on the lender, you usually can get started about a 620 or higher. Now, a 640 or higher credit score opens you up to more loan programs, to being able to do gifts from a family member or a spouse when it comes to the purchase of a down payment. Also, you may qualify from some grant assistance programs where they may help with down payment assistance or closing cost assistance as well too. So you always want to have a high score if you can. At least a 640 should be the bare minimum to me. But you can always get in a little bit lower than that. There are just some other things that may come with it. Now that you have a pre-approval, what's the next step? You get with me, your agent. Or if you're not in my service area, I can refer you to a great agent, or you can find an agent on your own if you already know one. The agent should have what's called a buyer strategy. I always have this type of call with my clients, whether we're doing it in person or we're doing it through Google Meet. I love to be able to see you and let's discuss what you're looking for. I'm very detailed, I'm very specific. So I want to know, based off your current needs, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, which seems pretty typical. So to me, I'm also asking if you're familiar with square footage. How much space do you feel like you need? Do you need 1,200? Do you need 15? Do you need 2,000? Because there's a difference. And depending on how many people you have in your household, you may feel like you bought a home, you move in right away, you don't want to feel like you already outgrown the space. We're going to deep dive into what you're looking for when it comes to a property. Now, during this buyer strategy, what I also do is I pull up all the available homes in the area in that price range so we can look through those together. So that way we can determine which ones we're going to set up to go see. And one thing I always tell my first time home buyers, your first home is your starter home. This does not have to be the home that is forever unless you absolutely want it to be. But typically most people buy their first home and they may move once. Now, I will say that it has been determined that most people in their lifetime will move at least 3 to 5 times in their lifetime. So it just depends once again. But as a first time home buyer, I always say, keep in mind your needs. A lot of people focus on wants. Well, I wanted a house with a deck and I wanted this and I wanted that. But does this home meet your needs? Is it nice? Is it well kept? Does it have the bedrooms that you desire? Does it have the bathrooms that you desire? what are the things that you can work on? You can get a home, and if possible, you may be able to build a really nice deck, depending on if it's high or low. So those are things that can come in time, but not things that might not need to be done right away. I've had a lot of first-time home buyers who've had to learn the hard way that they missed out on a really great home because they focused on a want and not a need, and could have turned the home that met their needs into the home that they wanted. So I always try to reason with you and try to get you to see both sides, but ultimately it's your decision as the buyer. So now we've had the buyer strategy session, we have your pre-approval. The pre-approval is going to tell us how much to shop for. When it comes to hiring an agent, there are a few things I do want you to keep in mind. Your agent needs to be knowledgeable. They need to have great communication skills. I would definitely ask about negotiation skills. And that's something that may be hard, but being in this business for a while, you kind of learn how to find a middle ground. And sometimes, I will be honest, some agents struggle with maybe finding a middle ground. So finding out if they're able to compromise and really get a deal to the table or get two people to come to the meetings of the mind is really, really important. And expectations in the buyer's market. I always explain to my current buyers what the current market is. If we need to act quickly, maybe if you have a day to think on it, just depends. I hope that answered some of your questions when it comes to financing, to your credit, and also what to look for in an agent, and how to keep your needs top of mind when shopping for your home. Question is, how do I find a real estate agent, and what questions should I ask? I always say ask around. I get a lot of my business through word of mouth. I am a really big advocate when it comes to my clients. I just always want to give them the experience that I wish and desire to have. So I would say definitely ask around, and do your research once you ask around. Go to their page. Social media is very active now. You should be able to go on social media. You should be able to see their marketing, how they're coming across, how they present themselves. Do you feel like this is a person that you can work with? Is this a person that seems relatable? All that good stuff is the easy way to help you find out. A lot of agents should also have reviews online. So like maybe they have a Google page, or you can go to Zillow, or you can go to realtor.com, and you can see what past clients have said about them. So it's different ways to research and see who would be a good fit for you. The second question, I tried to buy a home before, but I got so frustrated with the process. What advice would you give me so that I can actually close this time around? So usually when I have a client that has come back the second time around, I really like to have a deep dive discussion on what happened. I want them to walk me through the beginning to the end, from them finding their agent. How did they find the agent? How did they find their lender? What were the conversations like? You know, was it just maybe some miscommunication? Was it that the process wasn't thoroughly explained to them? What went wrong? So that way I know, one, how to properly educate them on what possibly went wrong, and then two, how I'm going to do things differently, how I want to handle this going forward, so that way they have the best transaction they can, as smooth as possible with as less stress as possible, so that way we can get them to the closing table. And now it's time for our history note. Our history note focuses on a major first-time homebuyer program that caused a great economic shift for the United States that otherwise would have been another Great Depression. The Servicemen's Readjustment Act of 1944, commonly referred to as the GI Bill, provided World War II veterans with funds for college education, unemployment insurance, and housing. Unfortunately, not all veterans were able to take advantage of the benefits of the GI Bill. Black vets were unable to get bank loans for mortgages in black neighborhoods, and they faced prejudice and discrimination that overwhelmingly excluded them from buying homes in white suburban neighborhoods. By 1955, a year before the bill expired, 4.3 million home loans had been granted by a total face value of $33 billion. Veterans were responsible for buying 20% of all new homes built after the war. Today, there are several types of home purchases assistance programs available on a state and even a more local level. That's a wrap for for this episode for first-time home buyers, here's what I want you to take away. So number one, know your numbers. It's really important to get with the lender. That's the first step. I tell everybody that. Even if you find the agent first, I can't properly do my job until you know your numbers. We need a pre-approval number. We need to know exactly what price range to stay within so that you're comfortable after you purchase. Two, I want you to write down and think through your must-haves in a home. Remember, it's your starter home. It's not forever. Your starter home gets you in the game of home ownership. And then from there, if you decide to sell in a few years, you can always do so. And number three, hire a real estate agent who can effectively guide you through this process. They may know more than you will and walk you through every step of the way. Thank you for watching this episode. If you know someone who is thinking about purchasing their first home, please share this video with them. I know that this process can get a little bit overwhelming, so hopefully this will help put them at ease.